Hello, Father Mark's invited me to say a few words to the parishioners of St Cecilia's and St Mary's. I'm Mark Clephane, head teacher at St Mary's Primary School. So it's a big hello to all the families and children of St Mary's who we miss dearly at this troubled time. And I just want to share some reflections on this week's up and coming gospel, on that great story about the road to Emmaus. So Jesus has been crucified, he's risen from the dead, and there's travellers leaving Jerusalem. And they're heading to this town called Emmaus, and they meet a stranger on the road, and they're telling him about all their worries and concerns that the Messiah's gone and they're left alone. And they don't realise till later on when they sit quietly and have a meal that actually the stranger is actually Jesus himself, and he's presenting himself. So I'd just like to reflect on that great gospel story. The story of Emmaus tells us that we don't always recognise Jesus even when we're with him. The breaking of bread was the sign that alerted the travellers to his presence. They could not see him because they were distracted by their own concerns. It wasn't until they sat quietly and shared a meal that they could see what was literally in front of them. And we have the same problem. Our issues, our worries and concerns, they distract us from the reality that Christ is around us. Now, one of my favourite expressions is, see Christ in others and be Christ to others. Now, this involves a bit of focus and hard work, but it can mean we leave our distractions behind us. Now, over Easter, a friend shared the wonderful video from Archbishop Carlos Castillo from Lima in Peru. It's an amazing video. And in it, he highlights that Easter has not been stopped by lockdown, but the rituals and ceremonies that we treasure as Catholics are being acted out in a different way. They're in the caring of the sick in our hospitals. They're in the delivery of food by lorry drivers, in the cleaning of hospitals and other institutions, the removal of waste, bins and rubbish, the patrolling of the streets of the police. These are the ways that Christ is alive at Easter. And the suffering of Christ at this time reminds us that he feels the suffering of the world. And in this time of quiet, we get the opportunity, like the travellers to Emmaus, to see Jesus and to see Jesus in others. Now, they're often dressed in masks and theatre gowns and scrubs, NHS uniforms. And we also have the opportunity to be Jesus to others by maybe picking up the phone to loved ones or maybe doing a bit of shopping for neighbours. Now, lockdown for schools, for me particularly, has meant there's this partial closure of schools. And parents are doing their bit to homeschool their children. And schools have had to make unprecedented changes in a very short space of time. They've tried their best to provide resources for parents and children to work at home and to stay open for key workers' children, and to look out for the vulnerable children. And at the same time, keep as few people in school as possible. Now, the disciples called Jesus Rabbi, and that means teacher. So for many of us, for our parents, being Jesus for others is actually being teacher for others too. Of course, the church teaches us that parents are the first and most important teacher. And it's good to remember that at this time, however difficult that might be. And it's not always just about teaching the younger ones new skills. We're also faced with the challenge of trying to get an older generation to access new technology perhaps so we can keep in touch. And you know what? That can be frustrating too. But it's important to remember that parents are the greatest teachers. Think of the things that parents teach. They teach us how to walk, how to talk, how to love, and how to be ourselves. And that's an amazing gift. Well, at this time of difficulty and the challenges that we've got, I thought I'd end with a hymn. I was always taught that if you sing a hymn, you pray twice, once in words and once in music. So we'll try our best to do that. And this hymn is maybe the most famous hymn of all. And it reminds us that in times of difficulty, in times of hardship, that God's grace will get us through. And I'm inviting my daughter Lilly to join me as well because she's a better singer than I am. So we're going to sing together for you Amazing Grace It's a hymn we all know and we all love. So we'll try our best with it. This is Lilly. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. The Lord hath promised good to me, His words my hope secures. He will my shield and portion be, as long as life endures. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we know less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun. I hope God's grace is with you at this troubled time. God bless everyone. Thank you and goodbye.